Coach, you're 3 games into the season, and is it fortunate that the 3 games were on the road, or would you prefer to have played them at home?
Well, I think, when you set up your schedules year in, year out, you'd like to open up at home against a average opponent where you feel like you can go and play early season baseball and still have a chance to win. Unfortunately, with the weather in this area in February and early March, you're never sure that you're going to get anything in. I mean, 3 years ago, I think we got a total of 3 games in February. So ideally, you schedule about 10 to 12 games, hoping you can get those in so you don't get bunched up in March and April going into your conference games, and you have a little more flexibility to stay with a rotation with your pitching staff. But with the weather the way it is, and this is the earliest we've ever opened up, we felt like traveling south early and getting some games in, whether you won or not, kind of would give us an idea of where we were. Try to get that 12 to 14 game. We just haven't been getting a lot of February stuff in. So the only way you can almost be assured to get any is to go south. And that's what we've kind of done early here, going to Panola. And then I wanted to go south again this weekend, but we couldn't get a tournament. And then the next weekend we go over to Tennessee. So, you run the risk of running into ball clubs a little more ready to play than you probably. Because when you go south, they typically, obviously get warmer quicker, and they're on the yard a little bit more than you. So, it's not, it's when you're a northern team and you want to play in February, you better plan on going south a couple of times to make sure you get some games in.
So, would you say that February is primarily an evaluation month for you as a head coach and coaching staff?
Well, with us, because we only have 20 conference games, we play 26 non-conference games. We kind of treat the first half of the season before we go into conference as development type games. You want to win them all. You're not playing any of them to lose, but you're trying to develop a pitching staff. You're trying to develop different roles for your guys. How good a guy performs in the fall doesn't always indicate what type of player he'll be in the spring. Players change when the scoreboard turns on and stats start being kept and people really start watching, and there's a little more accountability to it. So sometimes those guys that didn't perform real well in the fall, under the pressure of the game starting, pick their games up. And then some guys play really good in the fall. And then when you get into the games, they have a tendency to press a little bit, where in the fall there's not as much pressure, so they never really, feel the pressure of performance. So there's a developmental 20 to 25 games that we're lucky enough to have in our conference where you treat those as kind of developing your team, preparing them to go into conference play.
Alex, what have you picked up in the first 3 games as a player?
As a player, I think for most of us, the big thing we picked up was getting to see more live pitching, because since it was so cold up here the first couple of weeks of practice, we didn't get to get on the yard and face live pitching. I think we faced it twice in scrimmage, and whereas the other team, they've been on the yard for 2 weeks facing live pitching every day. So I think for a lot of us, it was just getting to face live pitching and seeing the pitches and picking it up.
What about your individual play? How did you feel you did over the weekend?
I felt like I played all right. Defensively, I played well, and pitching, hitting just didn't fall, but I was hitting the ball hard. So I was pleased with how I played overall.
How difficult is it at this level, Alex, to develop your stroke at the plate?
It just takes a lot of work in the cage. I mean, it's a lot different than high school. High school, it's coming in there, you see about the same thing every time. In college, on a Friday, you'll face their ace, and you'll be facing someone throwing 91, 92, and then later on the weekend, we'll be facing someone that's not throwing as hard and throwing a lot more breaking stuff to try to get you out. So it's a lot different, just trying to adjust each and every day to the pitching you're facing.
What position do you play?
Play third base and close.
Defensively, what were some of the things you encountered defensively that you may not have expected playing third base?
The ball gets on you a lot faster. I used to play shortstop growing up, and this is my first year playing third base, actual game situations, and it just gets on you a lot faster. You have more time to make the throw, but it's a lot more reactions.
Is it different in terms of throwing angle for you?
It's not too much different. It's more at shortstop it's like a rhythm position. You get rhythm and get into your throw. Third base, it's more reaction, just making sure you have the ball and then creating the rhythm with your feet to throw to first.
Coach, as a team, you got several sophomores back, but you're also using quite a few freshmen in certain places. How is that helping you with your development?
Well, in junior college, you're year to year on how old you are. I mean, you're going to have years where you're going to be loaded with sophomores and years you're loaded with freshmen. This year, returning 3 sophomore starters that performed well for us last year, we felt was going to give us a little bit of a chance early to win. We knew we were going to be a little bit young offensively. We weren't sure who were going to be the go-to guys yet, which guys were going to step up and be the offensive catalyst of our ball club, who could be the turnaround guy when you have bad momentum, and who can get the hit when you need it. And you know, that sometimes freshmen take a while to get there. Sometimes your sophomores take a while to get there. So offensively, we were really young, only really returning Kevin Myers offensively off this ball club. You know, we lost Exford, our first baseman, to an injury, so he would have been important. So we were able to fill a couple slots with sophomores. I mean, technically, Alex here is, you know, even though it's his first year of baseball, he's been out in college for a year, and so there's a lot of things that he knew how to prepare for that the normal freshman wouldn't. And then the transfer of Angel Ortiz, who was a sophomore middle infielder, gave us a little maturity in the infield. And then you also get Corey Dodd, a center fielder that was at New Mexico JC last year. So, you know, we were able to fill some maturity there. But honestly, when you look at the performance of the ball club over those 3 days, you know, the guys that really got the hits that really impacted the games mostly were freshmen. You know, Myers got a big double for us, but you look at Ramon Lariano and Jackson Morris. Those 2 guys had some real key hits for us in Game 2 and Game 3 that really gave us a chance to kind of get our identity back coming out of the fall. Because when you come out of the fall, you have an identity, but that identity sometimes is kind of a false bravado. You know, you really feel great about yourself because, wow, we went out there and tore up a lot of people in the fall, but there's nothing at stake in the fall other than, you know, personal pride. But there's nobody keeping score. There's no scoreboard. Nobody really there to judge you on how really well you did. You turn the scoreboard on, and sometimes it takes a few games for a team to get that sense of identity back that they had walking out of the fall. And so we walk out in Game 1, and Travis Rimlard, who is an exceptionally good young man, a good pitcher, didn't perform very, very well. Had a lot of scouts there to see him. I don't think he was at 100%. He had a little bit of, wasn't feeling quite right when he went out there, and he didn't pitch real well. We got behind, couldn't come from behind because early on, again, offensively, the guys probably weren't ready to come from behind yet. And, you know, you get out there the next day and you say, okay, you run the risk when you go south of going unvictorious. You know what I mean? Yeah. You run the risk of not getting any wins when you go on the road. But the at-bats and the experience that you guys go through together is invaluable whether you win or lose the ball game. So to bounce back the next day, have a really good, real well-pitched game by Keaton Hernandez, another sophomore pitcher, and then to get 2 or 3 breakthrough swings late in the game to kind of break it open. We went to Alex to close, and he's going to be our closer this year. He'll play. He says he's a third baseman, but I think in the long run he's always going to be a shortstop. And positions right now are, you know, they're not set in stone. And I'm feeling after watching him play this week, he'll be playing a lot more shortstop than what we expected. But you know, you get to that second day and you get some key hits, and Hernandez strikes out 9, walks 1. We're down 3. We get a big hit out of a freshman to score a couple runs to tie it. We get another big hit out of another freshman to go up. Next thing you know, we have 6 runs in the inning. Alex goes and slams the door, which is what he'll do. And then we turn around and you go, oh, that's who we are. You get that feeling again of what your guys felt like. You can feel the entire chemistry and the way we carried ourselves. And you got that aha moment. Aha, there we are. We found ourselves. Let's go out. And the next game, we beat them 13-4. And honestly, we probably had the best at-bats of all 3 games, obviously, in Game 3 when we got to see a lot. But and their pitchers were not as good as ours. Ricky went out there and threw a no-hitter through 5. Ricky Rivera, another sophomore pitcher. and we were able to go score runs and get out ahead. So to go south and win 2 out of 3 against a quality ball club like Panola in mid-season is pretty good. But to do it to open up it says a lot about what this ball club I think is right now. We got a lot of baseball in front of us. We stay healthy. These guys keep on, stay focused. We feel really good about our.
You go to Crowder tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty big game, isn't it, for you?
Well, Crowder's always kind of a. People ask about who are those teams that you play each year that kind of that's natural rivalries. Well, because Crowder's within the area, we always compete a lot for players. Travis does an awfully good job. We compete a lot for players.
Well, yeah.
Well, Alex is from Neosho.
Right.
Yeah. So he's got a couple buddies over there. So it's always they're always good. They always compete. Last 2 years have been really good. To me as a coach and to most of the players, it's just another game. Maybe to Alex, it's got a little more personal to it than a normal game would be. But this early, I don't think rivalry means much. Mm-hmm. When you get later on in the year, then and you're playing them at mid-season, I think the rivalry has a little more carry to it. But right now, they're playing their first game. We're playing our fourth. We're all just trying to get our guys, back in the game and back into the day-to-day grind of being a college baseball player.
The fluidity that you have right now with your lineup and with your overall team, do you think that puts more pressure on you as a coach now than it does, say, after 25 or 30 games?
Well, what I think you're asking is a little. When you say fluidity, are you talking about
being able to move people around?
Yeah, depth of your ball club and build. Yeah, well, you spend those first 20 to 26 games in that developmental idea of trying to get you guys ready to play conference play. You'll play a lot of guys. You'll give a lot of guys opportunity. You'll recycle guys that failed early and bring them back around. And once they relax and let the game come back to them, sometimes I've had guys fail early and be incredibly successful later on. The difficulty is trying to make sure you get everybody an opportunity without running the risk of losing games. You want your guys to feel like every day you walk out, you're going to win. And sometimes if you spend too much time playing too many guys, they go, is he worried about winning? Or is he worried about getting guys in and making them feel good? Which is never what it's about for me. Right. It's about developing depth. And if you look at it, we started game 1, we scored 3 runs. We went to game 2, we scored 10, and then we did a little bit of an adjustment, and the team, 2 or 3 of the guys that were in game 3 hadn't even played an at-bat yet, and we scored 13. That's the uniqueness, I think, of this ball club and it happened all fall. It happened all fall. We'd walk out there in game 1 of the scrimmage and we'd do well, but then when the next group went in against people, they did it as well, if not better at times. So we feel like depth is something we develop, but we're not going to run the risk of losing games just to get guys in. At some point in time, you have to say, well, this is our set lineup. Everybody's been given the opportunity. And you do your best to give that opportunity. But, there are times where you look at it and guys don't get as much of an opportunity as you might have liked to give them. It's just the way things worked out.
Alex, do you enjoy being a closer?
I do. That's just kind of my mentality and how, being a competitor, you like to have the ball in your hands at the end, and that's just how I've always been. So it's nice to be able to just go out there and know that you got to get 3 outs and get your team to win.
What's the hardest thing about being a closer?
Try not to get too amped up, because when you're out there and the game's on the line and it's up to you to shut the door and make the pitches, you kind of get amped up and try to do too much, throw too hard maybe, and just do too much. Mm-hmm. That's the hardest part.
Okay, I'm through.
All right. Thank you,
man.
man.
All right?
Yeah.